Badger watching is relatively easy. The real hard part of it is finding them, and I covered that in my first video on how to find badgers. I'll leave a link to that at the end. There are basically three ways in which to watch badgers. Firstly, that's to go out on your own, into the wild, find a set and spend the time watching them, and that's what I covered in that first video on finding badgers. Secondly, it's to visit a known hide where you pay to sit in an organised hide, and a lot of the wildlife trusts around the country hold these events a couple of times a year, and they're worthwhile actually attending. So check up the wildlife trust and you'll be able to see when they have a watch the badger evening. Finally, the last way to actually watch badgers is to actually pay for a guide to take you out into the wild and photograph them. I have done all three, and in my three-part series on badgers, finding them, watching them, and the last one which you'll do, photographing them, the photographs in the video I've got from all three. What I want to do in this video is to outline my approach to going out into the wild and watching badgers on your own. What we'll do is we'll look at the badger senses, very important to understand them. We'll look at the equipment that I recommend that you need for watching badgers. We'll look at preparation you've got to do before it. You can't just turn up and expect them to be there. You do need to do a little bit of preparation. How to actually set yourself up when you're in a set, ready to watch them. Badger watching, and I'll give you some top tips along the way. In order to watch badgers successfully, you need to have a really good understanding of the badger senses. Badger senses smell is its primary sense. Therefore, wind direction plays a very important part in how you position yourself ready to watch the badgers. And you need to really refrain from wearing things like deodorants and perfumes to get close. A badger's first instinct, once it emerges from the set, is to actually smell or sniff the air to see if there's any danger around. So badger's sense of smell is so important to them. Badgers also have a very good sense of hearing, so don't carry noisy equipment or wear clothing that creates a noise. Things like Velcro straps, waterproof nylon clothing, which is quite noisy. Mosquitoes, talk about them later. Refrain from sniffles and coughing and sneezing. I know that makes sense, but really the slightest noise that you make, they're going to hear it. The weakest sense that a badger has is its sight. And in my opinion, there really isn't no need to go full camo. Now, I've just said that, and I'm wearing a camo vest and I've got camo gloves on and I've got a camo hat. I wear this all the time when I'm out doing my wildlife photography. Remember, don't let badgers see you. Keep movement to a minimum. Don't let them smell you. Perfumes and deodorants are a no-no. And they can hear you. So noisy equipment and clothing, think about what you're wearing and the equipment that you're carrying, and does it create a noise. Okay, top tip, wildlife trusts. As I said earlier on, if you've never watched badgers before, I would advise you to visit an organised badger watch with one of the wildlife trusts, and if you just Google wildlife trust here in the UK, you'll be able to find them quite easily. It's normally quite an inexpensive way. I think the most I paid for an evening session to go and watch them was about £10 or £12. So if you've never seen them before and you want to get up close and watch them, visit the wildlife trusts. They do organised badger watch evenings. Okay, when it comes to equipment, I would recommend the following equipment for watching badgers out in the wild on your own. The important thing being is that everything has got to be at hand. You can't be moving around, where's this, where's that. You need to know exactly where it is to keep movement down so that you don't give your position away. So we go back to the subject of clothing. Badger sense of sight, it's not that great, so as long as your clothing's drab and you fit in with your background, you're not silhouetted, you should be okay. The important thing to cover is your hands and your face. Now, in my experience, if you're going to go out in the evening, here in the UK, late spring and in the summer, you're going to get bothered with mosquitoes. So I advise something like this mosquito net, which is absolutely ideal It's not thick, it's quite thin, but it really does do the job. It covers my face, my hands are covered with my gloves. I have this small stool which I carry with me for sitting on. Remember, you're going to be in position for quite a while. Binoculars. This is actually a combined binoculars and night vision goggles. I'm out quite a lot, so binoculars, a normal set of binoculars are quite good in low light. But as I said, these ones are combined binoculars and night vision goggles. You're going to need a torch. I have a head torch which I'm going to use. Again, it's going to be probably dark when you're walking out. A red filter on the torch is quite a useful thing to have. It just helps to dim the light down. Make sure you've got your phone. Again, go back to the safety point that I was talking about earlier. You need a phone to make sure that people know where you are. Food. If you're going to feed the badgers, then you're going to take your peanuts with you, and I'd also suggest some sultanas. And I also sometimes carry nets which I'll put over my camera equipment and which I'll cover in photographing badgers in my next video. That's the equipment that I would carry. Carry it all in this one little stool bag, and everything is at hand. Once I'm in position, I'm not moving. I'm not getting up and moving over there to get something or over there. Everything is at hand or in my vest. Badger watching is best done on your own. Therefore, safety becomes paramount, as you can find yourself out in the wild in areas that can be quite hazardous. So you need to make sure that you check the area that you're walking along, and you set yourself up on the set. If you can, go and do a recce beforehand. Check for underfoot hazards such as trips and falls, especially as you're going to be moving around in the dark once the session comes to an end. Most importantly, let somebody know where you are, when you're going, and when you're going to return. So think safety. Okay, I just want to take a little time out just to give you a look forward to my third and final video in my 3-part series on badgers here in the UK, and that is how to photograph badgers, which I will bring out probably in the next month or two. So look forward to photographing badgers. And now back to the video. Okay, top tip, your face and your hands. Whilst I'd advise you to wear drab coloured clothing and there's no need to go full camo, you can if you want, the one thing that will give you away is your face and your hands. It doesn't matter what colour your skin is, it's the sweat on your skin that develops the shine, and that is what you need to cover up. That's what needs to be covered. So, gloves, hat, and a face covering. And actually, for badgers at night time, I would advise you to wear a mosquito net. Badger watch requires careful planning and preparation, not just of yourself but of your equipment, and by doing so, that should make sure that your badger watching session is successful. Once you've identified a set you want to watch, you need to assess its suitability, so you need to carry out an assessment on the set. If the set's not on public land, you're going to have to get the landowner's permission, and I did a previous video on how to go about getting landowner's permission. Okay, once you've got the landowner's permission, you need to carry out an assessment of the overall location, and the best way to do that, as I said, is by a recce. My starting point for a recce would be to look for ideal habitat, like a wooded area sitting on a piece of sloping ground next to a grassy area or fields, remembering that earthworms are the majority of a badger's diet. A set that's in a tightly enclosed woodland or a dense hedgerow is probably not worth watching due to the light levels and obstacles. I spent last winter a lot of time trying to find a set. I found it. There was no tree growth, there was no vegetation on the ground. I put my trail cameras out, but lo and behold, when spring came and the tree canopy started coming in and the undergrowth started to grow, by the time the badgers were coming out in daylight, it was all over. There was no way, absolutely no way I could get into that position to film the badgers. One of the most important things that you're going to have to check is the wind direction. So you're really looking for the prevailing wind direction, and that's going to determine where your final viewpoint position is going to be. Remember, smell is the badger's #1 sense. It's far, far, far superior to ours. It can be particularly difficult in a woodland setting because you don't really get, because of the trees, the wind coming in one direction. So you have to assess the wind direction on every single visit, and you need to sit downwind of the set when you're watching them. You need to take into account when sunrise is going to be and when sunset is going to be. So you need to be very careful of your timings. You need to plan to arrive, I would suggest, no earlier than 1 hour before you think that the badgers are going to actually emerge from the set or appear. They typically emerge from the set at or after dusk. In the summer, it can often be that they will actually appear above ground when it's light. So you need to know when is sunrise and when is sunset, and you need to be there when you think that the badgers are going to appear at least 1 hour before. Think about the routes in and out of the set. Try, if you can, have one way in and one way out that's different. Keep going on about a badger's sense of smell. Your scent will linger in the air for a long time, and badgers can be put off if they pick up that smell. Remember what I said about when a badger comes up the set, first thing it's going to do is going to sniff the air. So plan to arrive and leave silently. And again, remember, be aware of trip hazards. Choosing a viewpoint is either going to lead to a very successful badger watch or a no-show due to giving your position away. So your viewpoint needs to be, keep going on about smell, it needs to be downwind. Remember, the wind can change direction, so what you need to do is you need to think about alternative viewpoints in and around the set. The viewpoint needs to be about 15 to 20 metres away from the set to begin with. It needs to be comfortable because you're going to be there for a long time. Very important. And it needs to be in a position where you can conceal your silhouette. So you need to have a bit of cover from view. So try and position yourself up against a tree or a hedgerow or a bush, and be aware of the skyline as well to give your position away. So choosing the viewpoint, very important. To feed badgers or not to feed badgers when you go to watch them is a personal choice. Personally, I see there's absolutely no harm whatsoever in putting some peanuts, and in my experience, they absolutely love sultanas. And what that does, that encourages them to move around the set so that you get good clear views. Try not to handle the food. Either pour it from a bag or use a little scoop to do that. And I would suggest that you need to be placing it out virtually as soon as you arrive and set. Remember what I said, at least a minimum 60 minutes before you think they're going to come above ground. Thing is, squirrels and birds, they're going to find them quite soon. So you don't want them eating up all the peanuts and sultanas and having to go out again and leave your scent. So about 60 minutes before you think they're going to come out, there's no harm in putting out some peanuts and sultanas, in my experience. Top tip, patience. Watching badgers is a waiting game, so you have to be patient at all times. You can be sat for a number of hours waiting and there's absolutely nothing, and then as the light lowers, all of a sudden you're starting to wonder yourself, are they going to show? This is where the patience comes in. Stick with it. So stick with it, be patient, be ready, be prepared, and most of all, be quiet. When they show, it is so worth it. Happy badger watching. Understanding a badger's senses is the key to watching badgers successfully without being detected. The sense of smell is incredible. They've got good hearing, it's just their eyesight that's slightly poor. But even then, the slightest quick movement of a hand or a head can give the game away. So you have to remember what a badger's senses are if you're going to successfully watch badgers. I hope this video helps you to watch them. The badger here in the UK certainly is an iconic animal here in the UK. All I would ask is that if you've liked the video, could you hit the like button? Could I also ask you to subscribe to my channel, Kevin Hatley Photography. It's completely free, it doesn't cost anything, and what it does, it just helps me to grow the channel, which then allows me to share my knowledge and my experience with other people, which I love to do. So, until the next time, stay safe, take care, and I hope to see you soon. Bye for now.